Hi there, Dave here, how are you? I've got a couple of pieces of old timber I found lying around. This is an old bit of cypress flooring, and this is a piece of merbau decking. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them through the thicknesser. I'm going to dress them down to the size that I want. I'm going to sand one side. I'm going to put them over the box joint jig. Then I'm going to glue them together and have a nice little box. Stick with me, let's do it. That needs another pass. That one in there. Smells beautiful. And I can put this one through as well. Merbau and cypress going through the machine together. I think we're there. So, there we have the merbau and the cypress, both the same thickness. Now we're going to rip it down, or sorry, we'll joint it first, and then I shall rip them to the same width. Now it's time for the jointer. And first of all, I've got to check for straight, and this one's got a little bit of a bow this way, so I'm going to put it over the machine in that direction. The grain on merbau is pretty straight, but it does have a bit of a dip on it, so I'm going to turn it around, and that's the way I'm going to put it over the cutter, over the jointer. The cypress, I'm going to, look, that's anyone's guess as to which way I should be putting it over. But I'm going to take the tongue off because the timber is dipping that way. I've got a bit of a harbour bridge shape that direction. We'll go with the cypress first. And because I've got a knot there, I'm going to turn it round the other direction. I think I'll probably get a safer run with it. Turn on my dusty. And the jointer. Okay, we've got beautiful faces and one really nice edge. And I was going to go this way with this guy. That's nicer. So there we go. I've got both of these pieces of timber are dressed two sides and jointed one edge. Now I've got to put it through the table saw. Before I do that, I want to make sure that I've got the right dimensioning. So I'm using a 3/8 cutter for these joints. Around 3.5 inches is my smallest dimension. You can make a story stick, and sometimes that's going to be a better situation. So I've got 3/8, 3/4, 1.5 inches, double that is 3, and 3/8. 3 and 3/8, and I'm going to switch it over to metric, is 85.65. So, measure this out to 85.65. See if I've got enough meat left in there. I should have. 85.65. So I'll go to 88. Yes. I'll release these guys. And using my mag switch to keep myself safe, I'm going to rip this. Beautiful. Now that I've got my stock all sized up to what I want and the lengths that I want, I have to work out how to lay it out. Now, if this was all one timber, one piece, I would lay it out with the grain all the way through. As it came out and where I docked it, I put it all back together the way before I'd cut it. And I would mark it A, B, B, and this is at every joint I'd double up. So A would be the end of it. The first cut would be B and B on one side and the other side. The next cut would be C, C. The next cut would be D. And then the last part would be A, because it's got to go back to the beginning to create the full perimeter of the box. But as I've done this out of two different types of timber, that's not really going to concern me that much. So what I'm going to do, I'll just move a bit of that dust. I'm going to lay it out from left to right in the different types of timber and work out which face I want facing out, because this is how it's going to be. You know what? The way that I've laid it out there doesn't look too bad. So now I get my pencil, wherever that is. Do you ever get this problem where you put your pencil down and you think, uh-oh, lost it? It'll be around somewhere, David. You know what? I found one. I found one in my apron that I should really be wearing. So I'm going to mark this one out, A, and I'm going to stay back from the end a little bit, because that's where I'm going to cut all of that with the joints. So they'll be stepped all over the place. So I come back about an inch. And this one will be B, and this one also will be B, and then C, C, and then D, D, and then A down the end here again. Remember, as I said, you finish off as you started. Now these are the outside of the box. The reason they're the outside of the box is because I'm going to sand the other side, and I won't be leaving any marks on the inside of the box. I don't want to have to get inside the box with a sander at the end. So now this side I will sand off, and we can do that right now. I'm using the Festool ETS 150. I'm using this little bag on the back because it's easy and light with that, but it does a great job of collecting the dust. Now I've still got my marks on the back, so I know where I'm going. Don't worry about that, because they're going to get sanded off on the outside when I finish building the box and glue it and all that kind of stuff, and then I'll sand the whole outside. So make sure you don't sand your marks off. Now you can sand it down to whatever grit you want. I'm just sitting with 120 to start. And then I'll probably take it down to around 180, maybe 240. Beautiful. Wasn't too hard. I'm going to lay it back out the way it was. A, B, C, C, D, D, A. Now, I need to put a face mark on all of these, and a top edge. This is all going to be the top of the box. Now this is very important when I come to doing the cuts, when I come to doing the joint itself. So first of all, I'm going to do the ends. I can do the sides if I want to, but whichever one I do first is going to have the finger of the box joint coming through on the top. So, as I say, there's my top. So I want all of that's my reference point back to there. So I'm going to do that cut. I'll go through there and it should finish perfectly there. Then I'm going to flip it over this way, and I'll do that way. So both ends are going to have a finger at the top, not a receiver. The receivers will be on the side. And I'll mimic that with this one. So here we go. I'm going to start off with C and A. So A, well, I'll start with first, put my muffs on, and make sure that I've got the right depth to start with, of course. Could have been tricky there, David. Take it up to about there and fine tune it up. And just pass so I can sand some end grain off. Unlock it. Shut the doors. Put the sled in. Now remember, I'm going to have my top edge against the guide, fence, rail, key, whatever you want to call this guy. It will be a key once I've done my first cut, but for the moment it's a fence. So it's a funny old world, isn't it? So I'll start up the Dusty with my TV remote. There she goes. And I'll start up the router. And here we go. Keeping fingers out of the way and not pushing too fast. There we go. Next one, making sure there's no rubbish cord under the cutter or under the piece that we're cutting. And that's that. Now I'm going to turn it over. And where I am there, I'm going to flip it straight over. This cypress smells beautiful. Okay, so A, top. Now I have to do the next one along, C, top, because I'm going 2 spaces. So here we go. Flip her over and start again on the next joint. So this is joint B. Equal pressure. Again, if you feel it's a little tight, don't shove it. So that is going to be the top of the box, and that is going to be the top of the box on the ends, pointing to the outside, and the face is the outside. The inside is all sanded. So now we're going to go C and D, and with the edge that I've marked there. Now let's start with A. Move those guys over there. I've got A and A. Now, I have to work from the top down on the joint. Don't get confused and have it the wrong way around, because it's going to end in tears. So this is the top and this is the first cut. So I have both of the faces facing towards me. See that? Top, working from the top, top and top. I'm working from those down the joint. Okay, so you can see here, this is a spacer, and this is going to be this is a spacer, and this is going to be the receiver. So it'll make sense when I do it. I'll turn the router on, and the Dusty, of course. There's my spacer. And now, making sure there's absolutely nothing under there, I can do my first pass. Take the spacer out. So when I'm done, that's going to be perfect there. See, it would receive into it. So now I'm going to go down to the rest of the cup. Here we go. The rest of the cup. Okay. Again, just nice and easy. Making sure there's not too much rubbish there. Nice one for this side. Okay. Moment of truth. Okay. Park that over there so it's not going to affect anyone. Now here's the moment of truth. I haven't put this together. Let's see how it goes. How's that? I'll bring it over and you can have a closer look. So you can see, I'll stay back just a little in the lights. You can see I've got my edge and my face and my face. And there's the joint. It's not a bad looking joint, is it? And then when I fold it over like that, that's going to be the actual joint that comes together. All of the edges are nice and symmetrical. Again, inside is all finished. I've sanded all of that inside. Outside, you can see when I sand these off after the glue's dried, I'll sand all of that, so there's no need to hit that at the beginning. So let's see if I can finish it off without stuffing it up. Okay, so again, I'll bring this back. I'm going to turn this on. You like my remote? I discovered that through accident once. When I put the remote switch on, the dust extractor, I changed something on the TV and the dust extractor turned on. Well, there you go. I'm going to have to move the box, but it's handy. I don't need to worry about where my switch is, my remote for the dust extractor ever, because I'll always have the TV here. Now, concentrate, David. We have B and B, these two guys. Again, I need to see that that's up and that's up. So this is the top of the joint because I've got my edge mark there. I'm going to pop that one in there and make sure that's all clear. And because that's facing out and the edges are facing towards each other, remember, the edge mark has to face towards each other because we're working from the top down. Good, good. Turn him on. And here we go. Beautiful. What a good joint. Look at that. How good is that? Turn that off so you can hear me. How good is that? Now, I had a little tear out on the top there, so I'm going to have to glue that back down, but that will be fine. Okay. A and A are there and there. And then we've got around that way and that way. There you go. Now that is going to be just a beautiful box. 3/8 joints, merbau and cypress. Very, very nice. So that's how the box is going to go. Merbau and cypress. And as I said, I had a little chip out There it is. It's not going to affect the joint, and I'm going to just push that down there. That's going to be beautiful when it's done. I like to clean up in between processes if I can. There's nothing worse than having crap all over the place while you're trying to do a glue up. So you can see that I have glued the whole thing together, and I've used the Rockler box joint cauls. These are the 3/8 because we used a 3/8 cutter to make 3/8 fingers for the box joint. So there we go, that's all done. The cauls are terrific. They've got these special straps that they supply to go with their cauls. The reason being they're easy to use. They're small, they're very easy to use. So it's not like I'm strapping down a motorbike or a mower onto the back of a trailer or a ute, which is a big heavy thing like this, and it probably wouldn't pull together even on the long side. I'd struggle feeding things through and trying to pull it all up, twisting the box in the meantime. These little straps are so quick and easy to put on. There's no mucking around with them. It's just a matter of flick them over, and it's a one little cam action there. Easy, done, finished. Use them. The cauls are set up in such a way that they've got a positive on one end of the caul and nothing written on the other end of the caul. So there's a positive, nothing, nothing. That's because it helps you when you're putting the cauls in, because you've got the cauls pulled together to work on the faces of the finger, not on the ends of the finger. So you can see where you're going by having those two little marks there. Alrighty, I think that's about it. We'll see how it goes. The glue it takes about half an hour for the clamp time, 24 hours before you subject it to any stress. So what I'm going to do is I'll leave it on here. I'll take the clamps off a little bit later on tonight. Back again after we've let this little box stay in the clamps for 24 hours. Now let me have a look. What have we got here? I'm going to sand it with the Rotex, but in the meantime, just going to have a look at these clamps. This is probably overkill, having two straps on this one small box. One strap probably would have done it, but you know, they're pretty cool. So how we release them is we pull back on there, and that just lets it come off. And the other one as well. See, it's so much easier than a strap that's designed to hold a motorbike on a trailer. Okay, move the straps out of the way. Now you notice the cauls are still stuck to it. Doesn't worry me. You might see, and I'm going to bring it over so you can see it a little bit closer. You can see here that the cauls push down in between, just on the surface. They're not pushing down on the tongue at all. They're not pushing down on the end of the finger on the box joint at all. It's just a matter of pull them off. They don't stay there. Plastic. We won't glue to it. So you can see there's the joint. That's not too bad. Pull that one off, that one, and that one. So now, all done. So it's just a matter now of sand all the edges. Our inside is all sanded already. You might have to just touch the corners up a little bit on the inside, but that's a whole lot easier than a whole lot of surface sanding in there. Anyway, let's give it a sand, see how we go. Now, I always try and use my Pure Light. Now, there's another one on the market now called a Trend Air Shield Pro, I think, and it comes with ear muffs. The works are all in it. These are a great little device. Take a little bit of getting used to, but I enjoy it. It's just a matter of release the clamp on the back, slide it down, clamp it onto my noggin, and then turn her on. You look very sexy when you do these things. Turn her on. There's the button. You pull it down, do that little guy there, and it's great. You know, I don't know if you can hear me because I'm talking inside a shield now, so we'll see how this microphone goes at picking it up. But now I can sand away. I've got no problem with respiratory problems or anything like that because I'm protected by this guy. Love it. Now, this is the look, isn't it? I'm going to use a bit of 80 grit on the outside because I want to take it down quick. I'm going to be sanding through glue and also end grain of cypress and touching down onto the face of the merbau, which is a hardwood. So, popping it on the Rotex. And I've got the Rotex in geared mode. So it's going to be very aggressive as it starts cutting in, I can flick it to the other side into a 5mm stroke, be a random orbit. But for the moment, I'm going to go this way. Now, I am going to wear these specs under here because it's easy. Turn the machine on. Pop that on there. Wait for the dusty to turn off. Now, I could have used a belt sander, or I could have used a disc sander, or I could have used a linisher, but I haven't got any of those. But I do have the Rotex, and it doesn't do a bad job. Now that's that corner. I guess you can see it. Let's come back here a little bit further. That's the side I haven't sanded. That's the side I have sanded. So that's just 80 grit. And it's done a pretty quick job on it. I'll keep going and see if we can knock it down a little bit cleaner. Now the other thing is, obviously if I wasn't shooting the video, I'd have it over and put it in a bench vise, and I'd lock it in tight, and I'd just use the sander across the whole lot. And that'd be a whole lot easier, but I'm just doing this to show you how it goes. The other thing is, just a quick note on the air shield. Ordinarily, if I wasn't wearing, even with dust extraction, if I was not wearing one of these guys or any kind of a personal protection, I would be already, I'd be smelling it. I'd be smelling the sawdust and all that kind of stuff. But I can't. It's not because my nose is gone, but it's because this works so well, I can't even smell the sawdust while I was doing the sanding there. So these are pretty good items. As I say, when you first get one, you put it on, you think, oh geez, it feels weird, and it does feel weird. It does feel weird for the first few times you wear them, but I tell you what, they're terrific. I love them. After a while, you get so used to it, you don't even know you're wearing it, until someone comes in and says, hey dude, you look weird. I go, yeah, good on you. So I'll keep sanding this off. Here's another thing. Whilst I've got probably one of the best machines for sanding that's ever been invented here, sandpaper will only stay sharp for a certain period of time. Once it's not sharp, it's a waste of time having it. All you're doing is polishing, so you're not cutting at all. So this guy, you can see I've taken off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 glued joints so far with this piece of paper, and the paper is just about cooked. There was a fair bit of meat on those joints that I've taken off on the end of the fingers. So you throw that away, you get another one. You get another piece of paper, because otherwise you're going to stress yourself out. I'm going to throw another 80 grit on, and you can see the difference. I can feel a little bit of cut, but this one super sharp. Pop him back on. And look at the pad. How good is that? There's hardly any muck on there. The dust extraction on this is fantastic. I can smell just a tiny bit in the workshop now. When I have this on, I don't smell it at all. So I'm going to put it back on. Put the specs on. Oh look, I can see again. Alrighty. Beautiful. How quick did it cut that? Now I'm going to turn it back to its finishing mode, which is random orbit. always try and put things up so the visors, even glasses, I never put them down face down, they scratch. Ticks you off. They're always up. Any lens, I always put it up. The photographer in me. Okay, so I'll bring that over and you can have a look. And that's a snazzy looking box. Okay, you can see that box. All those joints have come up quite well. Now also you might remember that when I was gluing it, or when I was cutting it, I had a tiny little chip out. And there it is there. I can see it because I'm looking for it. But that's come up really, really well. You'd hardly notice if I didn't show you. Now I can sand that a bit more if I wanted to, and that will all go. But how cool is that? The Rockler box joint jig combined with a little bit of timber and a little bit of this and a little bit of this video to show you how to do it all, so it's all going to work for you, and you can end up with heaps and heaps and heaps of drawers, boxes, whatever you want to do. As I say, if you want to put a lid on it or put a rebate inside before you do it all, or you can get a router out now and do a little rabbit around. You can drop in a floor in the bottom and just tack it away so it's not seen, or do a little slot in there prior to assembling it all. That'd work nicely as well. You can close off the top and the bottom, run it over a table saw if you wanted to, cut the lid. Then you've got two boxes. Hinge. Totally up to you. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.